Hey everyone, Chloe here, and welcome back to another case study video, and welcome back to this feminine platform, and welcome back to my womanly channel. And if you are a new subscriber to the New Feminine, then hello and hi and welcome. So I wanted to have a very necessary conversation about what it means to be a fatherless daughter, which is a very common struggle with women who are on a feminine journey. And I wanted to share my feminine thoughts on seeing this very beautiful living doll and young lady being validated by her father with this very elaborate Sweet 16 bash that has been making a lot of Black women on social media smile from ear to ear. And the lovely fact that she is being splurged on by her father, and of her being able to publicly receive the wonderful masculine divine benefits that come with being a protected, provided for, and covered daughter. And we need to see young women, especially young Black women, being wholesale groomed away from this narrative of receiving the bare minimum from men and in life. And of course, within reason, because privacy and safety are necessary in a world filled with jealous nut jobs. But we need to see more Black fathers spoiling their daughters, and we need to see more fathers and father figures protecting their daughters and teaching their daughters how to drive, or buying them their first cars, or at the very minimum, pushing them in a swing. And we need to see more narratives of daughters being the apple of their father's doting eyes, and more fathers making sure that their daughters are never wanting for anything. So hopefully this can become a healthy visual trend, as opposed to all of the low value representation of womanhood, particularly Black womanhood, that we are being overexposed to on the daily, especially when women, particularly Black women, are so disenfranchised with the experience of being a daddyless daughter and all of the negative connotations and consequences that come with. Daddyless daughters are pretty much women who have zero idea of just how important it is for a young woman to experience princess treatment from the man who helped to create her, and for a young woman to have a provider father as a healthy foundational example of what she is to expect from a masculine man in romance, and of what to expect from her future husband. And the earlier that a young woman can get these necessary, non-negotiable life lessons from her father, the better. Now, I have been mentoring daddyless daughters of all colors, cultures, and ages, and a daddyless daughter is not just a daughter whose father went out to buy a gallon of milk and never came back. Daddyless daughters are women whose fathers are in the penal system. Daddyless daughters are daughters of narcissistic men who are notorious abusers. Daddyless daughters are the daughters of broken men who are alcoholics, or they can be the victims of the men who are deviants, and otherwise men who have very low self-esteem and who are clueless about how to be effective in their masculinity, which will translate to their manhood. But when these kinds of lost men produce daughters, the results can be devastating, as a daddyless daughter is a woman who, in essence, has never been protected, shielded, provided for, poured into, invested in, validated, covered, watered, honored, been shown devotion to, or sincerely cared for, which will produce large amounts of women whose feminine divine is deeply wounded and shattered to non-existent, especially if her mother is a product of being a wounded and neglected daddyless daughter as well. And for those of you who would like a deeper dive on the wounded feminine divine, please take a look at that video, which is also on this channel. And if you are sincerely interested in healing your daddy issues, I highly suggest the Feminine Book Club read He Never Came Home. But since this is a femininity and a hypergamously driven platform, let me remind my followers that women by nature, and not you special boot-stomping masculina snowflakes, but most women by nature are the flowers of the world. Women of any age, they need sunshine, they need attention, or they will wilt. That is why so many women are online daily having crying episodes and are having emotional meltdowns and are hanging on by a bobby pin, all because their feminine divine is not being watered. And they are at their wits' end in frustration because they do not have a blueprint to course correct. And in many cases, these women who are having these meltdowns meltdowns are looking to trauma bond with women who are in the same predicament and who are in the same boat as they are in. And as a feminine woman, just survey your own family dynamic, and you can absolutely tell when a woman has a loving father and has been properly protected versus a woman who has never been poured into and watered. The difference is literally night and day. With daddyless daughters, that lack of softness will show up in her body language. It will show up in the drip of her attitude and in the drip of her rebelliousness, and the blind spots and the daddyless dysfunction will show up in her romantic decision making and in every fiber of her being until she learns how to upgrade herself and course correct so that her entire life doesn't become a broken record of burnt out hyper independence. But let's all take a look at this beautiful father-daughter moment, and I will be back with the rest of my commentary.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Aww. Eyes up, eyes up, eyes up, eyes up behind me. Grab the light, grab the light. Good.
That's fine. I'm here.
Sure, look how beautiful she looks.
Now, when the father wipes the tears from his daughter's eyes, that is when someone is cutting onions, because that is the way it is supposed to be. But here we have a rare public case of a beautiful, dark-skinned young princess being spoiled by her father for her sweet 16th birthday that cost over $100,000. And while there were many positive comments, of course, our internet cousins are never one band, one sound. So there were also many negative knee-jerk reactions to the sticker price that triggered folks and their wet blanket mindsets into a tizzy. And perhaps it is human nature to be hypnotized with hatred when you are in a mind state of lack. But instead of looking at this beautiful young lady's good fortune for the inspiration, the representation, and the positive wonderfulness of seeing a father doing what he is responsible for doing, providing, protecting, and setting the example of what the masculine divine's role is in his daughter's life, people instead are fear-mongering, they are pocket-watching, and they are giving out full-blown a March on Selma dissertations on how better else that money could have been spent, which proves that y'all internet cousins love to move the goalpost when you personally aren't the beneficiaries. One minute you want to see affirming hypergamous imagery, and then the next minute your full-blown insecurities tend to get triggered and they tend to jump off the page. Or with the clinically bitter, and I know you're ear hustling, who see and criticize everything, they are either violently jealous with contempt and envy, or they are big mad and sad that this is something that they'll never experience from their own fathers. Now, is $100,000 for a sweet 16 excessive and over the top? Well, that depends on your tax bracket, your class stature, and your overall relationship with money. When you are educated in hypergamy and when you are hypergamous to the bone, you will understand socioeconomics. And when you do your research, you will know that all Black folks are not poor or are eating struggle meals or are from the ghetto. And that costly teenage rites of passage ceremonies like quinceañeras and bar mitzvahs are happening all around the world. But the most important womanhood lessons that are being implied here when seeing this level of pouring in and provision is that this young lady is being afforded and graced with a foundational lesson on her worthiness that will last her for the rest of her life. She is vitally learning early on that healthy masculinity is provision and protection, no exceptions. Her baby daddy won't be working at McDonald's. She will have a level of self-esteem about her where she isn't wasting her time arguing with frustrated hyenas or the manosphere bozos who are both committed to their twisted pretzel logic and who are both committed to misunderstanding you. And she won't ever have to internally wrestle with the manipulative offerings of the struggle of punks and the spirit of confusion that comes with entertaining low-value men. Baby girl won't have to negotiate or bargain or haggle her self-esteem with any 50-50 Jerome. She will be less likely to move like a basket case over some Dusty and the promises of his word salad. More than likely, she won't struggle with lifelong beliefs of feeling that she's asking for too much. She will expect to be the prize, because that is the foundation that has already been established for her, as opposed to the women who subscribe to my channel, who are often in their 30s, their 40s, and their 50s and up, who are just now finding out about hypergamy and who are late to the party when it comes to finding out that women are the prize. This young lady will expect princess treatment without ever having to feel like she's a brat or having to feel guilty or ashamed about experiencing luxury, provision, rest, or leisure. She is less likely to not allow bums to come into her life to conjure up a plan of struggle love where she'll fall for the bait, because she'll know internally that she is worthy and deserving. As for this young lady and her father, y'all internet cousins love taking the opportunity to be a wet blanket when it comes to anyone's happiness, but y'all gotta stop telling people how to spend their money, because no one says absolutely anything when y'all are out here blowing your bag on $1.99 Shein outfits and stiff wigs. In addition to this beautiful over-the-top Sweet 16 experience, this young lady's father gave her $70K for any car. So this man is not playing about his baby girl and her rites of passage from transitioning from a young princess to becoming a young queen. And everyone knows that money will come and go, but the memories will last forever. So that is all that I have to say on this for now. But to keep this conversation going, are you a daddyless daughter, and how has that affected your views on men? Is 100K too much to spend on a 16-year-old, or is validating a daughter's worthiness worth its foundational weight in gold? And as always, I thank you for listening, I thank you for watching, and I thank you for sharing this video to further grow our womanly platform. And please stay tuned for more videos to come, and I will catch up with you ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers in the next one.
The ugliest human emotion that exists. Envy. Nobody ever wants to admit that they're envious. It's a sign that we feel inferior, and it's an ugly emotion, and it leads to sabotaging, passive-aggressive behavior. Well, you can flip that envy around into something joyful and actually powerful and creative once you're aware that you have these tendencies. So you're always comparing yourself to other people and to what they have and feeling envious for them. You can change that very quickly. First of all, you can stop comparing yourself to people who have more, and you can compare yourself to people who have less. What does that build in you? It builds gratitude. Gratitude for what you have, which is an emotion you're not really getting much in life. Most people nowadays are so resentful about everything else they don't have. I want you to build this emotion of gratitude for the fact that you're alive, that you're healthy, that you have a career, that you have a mind, that you can do all of these powerful things. You're not paying attention.